Good morning. Welcome to the Bond Sunday morning services. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Thank you so much for being with me. You can get involved anywhere in the world by calling 800-411-2663, 800-411-BOND. You can also email me, church@bondinfo.org, church@bondinfo.org, and put your name and town on it with your question or comment. Last night I slept with the door open, and that night air got on me, and now I feel like I've been riding on an airplane all night. You ever had that feeling? I think it just happened to old people, though. No, not a sore throat. I'm not sick. It just feels like I've been on a plane or something all night. Any questions about anything before I get rolling? Yes, ma'am. Okay.
I've heard many people, my parents and many old people older than me, talking about hope, love, and belief. I was just wondering, what is hope? If we hope, then we lie ourselves with fake stuff, right? If you hope for good, hope is always good. As I heard, as I saw people saying, hope for good, hope. What is hope?
That's a very good question. Um, do you have hope?
I had before couple of days it hit me. What is hope? If you live the moment right now, the second, you don't know what's gonna happen next second.
Right.
Then where is hope? What is hope?
Right.
Hope is living, expecting the good thing to happen, but you're not supposed to have expectations. You have to live the moment.
Yeah.
So where's the hope? Hope is fake, lying yourself. It's gonna be good.
Right. That's a very good question. Isn't that a good question? Son, you want to respond to it? Because I saw it in your eyes.
No, because while she was asking it, I was thinking about it.
Oh, I saw something going on in your eyes. You have hope?
Not how I used to.
Not how you used to?
Yeah.
You lost the hope?
It seemed like I don't have as much hope as I used to before.
What was your hope before? What was it like?
Just hope everything would go okay, like general things. Like if I was about to go on an interview, I hope it goes well, or I hope this test goes well for me. Just, like if I get on the freeway, I hope I don't get in an accident or something like that.
Yeah. And so you lost all, you're losing that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm losing it. Yeah.
And why are you losing it?
I almost want to say maybe because of the meditation, but I don't know. I can't even tell you why I'm losing it. It's just, I don't really hope anymore. It's just, I just pray and ask God, but I don't hope. Like, I hope it goes well. I don't really think about it how I used to anymore.
Oh, okay. And so how do you feel about losing that hope?
I don't feel anything.
Oh, okay. Good. Let me ask one other question. Do you have, right here with the mic, the man in the white shirt. You have hope?
Yeah, that's a good question. I haven't really considered it much myself.
It's an excellent question.
Yeah. But I have hope that my salvation will come. Yes.
You do?
Yes.
And how do you know you have it?
Because I don't know. That's hard to. I got to think about it. I don't really. It's just in me to expect God to finally save me. And the more I live, the more I realize that He is a good God, and beyond what I had always in my mind put Him in, like a box.
Yeah.
And God is very difficult to put into a box of beliefs. And so I've realized He is kinder over the years than I originally thought. And so that helps to generate more hope.
And so you hope that eventually your salvation will come,
Yes.
but it's already come. It's already at hand. It's already done. All you have to do is accept it.
Oh, well, you're talking about the sacrifice of Jesus Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's still an individual thing. See? Just
He
because
came
he
in-
died on the cross doesn't mean everybody is individually, each individual in the world, is all 7 billion of us, is immediately saved.
But it's not because it's not possible.
Right, I agree with that.
And it's not because it has not already been done and finished.
I agree with that. But it has not been done or finished with each individual.
But you don't need to be concerned about each individual.
Well, I'm one of those individuals.
Oh, I see. Only because you have not accepted.
What's up with that? You know? Where is there a button I can push to accept it? Is there some signature I can do? You know, that would be nice.
No, the less you do, the easier it is to accept. You don't need to do anything. That's the key to it.
That's the most difficult thing to believe, actually.
That you don't have to do anything?
Yes.
Why is that difficult to believe? What can you do?
Well, it's because I have a belief that there must be something you should be doing.
But that's a lie, though.
So you say, but I'm,
But look how
you
long
have
you've
a
been.
great witness. I must say that.
Look how long you've been doing it, doing something, and nothing happened.
And nothing happened. I know.
That's not
You would think I
enough
would start
for
to catch on by now.
I'm telling you.
But yeah. So that's what's been actually
Yeah.
on me, and why I probably don't have a good explanation for hope.
Hope is faith. You know, when you have faith, you have the hope. And you have the hope without thinking about it, without thinking about the hope. It just is. It's like the hope that you're letting go of is false hope. And that's why the closer you draw to God, the worldly hope, the ego hope starts to fade away. That's why it's fading away from you. But when you have faith in God, you have hope without even thinking about it. You know, it just is. And it just is. It's part of when you enter into the kingdom of love, of God's love, hope is there, faith is there, and it all just works without you having to think about it at all. And the hope that you're talking about, that's a ego hope that you mentioned earlier when you said something. What did you say about hope? We're not supposed to hope for.
Yeah, if we hope everything is gonna be good, we're
Oh,
gonna
right,
be
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, that's a ego hope. And that's a hope that doesn't work. But you just hope that God's will be done. You know, you just live in love and it's all working out without thinking about it.
So
It's faith.
There is no difference between faith and hope.
No, I don't see the difference at this point.
But Bible says have love, faith, and hope, right?
Right.
So
But when you have love, you have that too. You have the faith because love is God. It's Him loving you, and you now can believe in His love, and the hope is there as well.
yeah, so it's a package. It comes
Yeah,
together.
it's a package deal. Yeah, it's just all in one. I don't know why they separated them like that, but once you enter into the kingdom of heaven, you let go of this other hope. Oh, I hope this and I hope that. Because we really don't know what we want. We don't even know what to hope for. But when you enter into the kingdom, you let go and let His will be done. And you just kind of know all is well without even thinking about it. But this hoping for a car and hoping for a job and hoping that the boss, that you go on an interview and do well, all that is worldly stuff that brings on stress to you. But you have the confidence in God that all will go well for you. And it's without looking at the past or the future. You just know tomorrow will take care of itself without even thinking about it. All right? But the other hope is worldly hope. You don't want that. Good question, though. Anybody else?
Yes.
Wow. All right, John, since you're holding the mic.
Okay. Can you explain what it means to be born again? I think last Sunday you touched on it a little bit. That from what I remember, you said that being able to realize that you're wrong. And
Yeah.
This is the only that's what I remember about it.
Yeah,
Could
once you
elaborate?
with me, before God changed my heart, when I was doing wrong, I knew I was wrong. But I just didn't know how to overcome being wrong. I didn't know that all I had to do was to see and admit that I was wrong and not judge myself for it. I didn't know that I knew I had a nature that something needed to happen with the sinful nature, but I didn't understand the sinful nature and how to overcome it. But once God allowed me to see that this sinful nature was my ego, my pride, I need to that's what was controlling me, making me do the wrong thing. He caused me to let that go. It was, I had a ego nature that was judging myself and everything around me, playing God. And that's why I couldn't enter into the kingdom of heaven, because I didn't know that that's what was going on. And so once I admitted that, then he was able to calm me down and cause my nature to change and to enter into another reality, into another kingdom. And in salvation, it's been saved from evil. It's been saved from playing God. It's been saved from judging yourself and others. It's hard words can't really express what it is, because words will deceive you. Satan play on the words and cause you to want to do it that way or act that way. But once you enter in, the only thing you need to know is that you don't have it if you're judging yourself, judging others, you're playing God. Just know you don't have it, and then he'll do the rest. That's the only thing you need to be aware of. How you're reacting or responding to the world around you, how you feel about yourself. I have no feeling about myself. And I used to judge myself as good or bad, right or wrong, up or down, this and that, right? And I don't do that anymore, because there is no self to be doing it to. So it's overcoming pride.
I have a follow-up question too. I noticed, from what I remember, you said it's not the sin to say, like, if you're out like doing wrong things,
Right.
drugs or whatever.
If you're doing drugs, smoking cigarettes, whoring, lying, cheating, stealing, whatever.
I noticed, like, Christians, they'll say, oh, I stopped smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
I stopped doing this. I stopped doing that. And I noticed, like, with me, I drink beer. So I kind of see that's like part of my ego that
Yeah.
needs it.
Yes.
But even if you stop drinking beer, you're still not saved, or you stop smoking cigarettes.
No, you
still
just
not
saved from the beer, but you're going to find something else to save you from the beer. You may stop smoking beer, but you'll start drinking wine. I mean, you may stop drinking beer, but you'll start drinking wine, or you'll start doing something else. But if you can see that you're servicing your ego, and eventually you'll die from that, and then the beer will just fade away. And if you drink a beer, it won't be to save yourself. Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, and so Christians think that their sin are the things that they're acting out. They think smoking is a sin and all that. It is wrong to do all that stuff, but it's the ego that's causing you to do it, because you have so much guilt, and it's hard. If you're not ready, you're not ready to take the pain of the ego. That the sin is the pride of man, trying to be God or playing God. Because you can't stop doing these things you're doing until you get rid of the ego. You just go from one thing to another one. One thing to another. I was looking at this on the HBO, not HBO, one of those channels that they were showing this guy that went overseas. He went to one of the Arab countries, and he and some friends of his were selling drugs over there. and they got caught selling the drugs. And so they let all but 2 of the guys go. And so they went to court. They had this little quick trial over to one of the, it was in Saudi Arabia, I believe, one of those places. And they went to trial and they put these guys in prison. And prison life over there is hell. I wish I could bring the prison life over there over here. Nobody would want to go to prison there. And so this guy, they threw him in this dump, but he was in prison with people from Iran, Iraq, all over, right? And it was hot. I mean, the humidity just out of control. They had this one little fan that, you know how you had that fan that goes like this? And it come back around? They had that in the cell. And the guy, when he went to court, they didn't tell him how long he would be in prison. Later on, a security guard or one of the workers came by the cell and told him, oh, you're going to be here for 5 years. And when they told him that he's going to be in that prison for 5 years, he tripped out. He just really lost it, right? But then he thought about his woman. He was dating some woman over there. And he thought about how much he loved this woman. And loving this woman gave him hope. And in that hope, he felt like he could do it. You know, he could endure it because in 5 years, his woman is waiting, and he's going to go back to his woman. But then after a year and a half, after a year, because he was there for a year and a half, after a year, the woman came to visit him. And in jail, you can't touch your woman. She's sitting right across the table from you, but you can't touch her. And he was having it was just hurting him that he couldn't touch his woman, right? His God. And so after a year, the woman came back and told him that she wasn't waiting anymore. She was moving on. And when she told him that, he tripped out, just absolutely lost it. He started to hallucinate about things. He was screaming in the jail, in the prison. He was looking at the wall, laughing. It just went, he lost it when his woman told him that she was moving on. And so during this trip, all of a sudden, a calmness came over him because he had nothing to rely on. A calmness came over him, and his whole life changed just like that. And from that point forward, being in that prison was no different than living at home for him. He calmed down. He started reading the Quran, and that's what they have over there. And his whole world changed. He said that he felt like he was born again, and he knew nothing about being born again. But that's what it is. When you take the pain of your ego, you calm down, all of a sudden, a calmness will come and save you from everything that you're relying on. It'll take it away from you. And so that happened to him. He calmed down, and a year and a half later, when he was there for a year and a half, Saddam Hussein attacked. Was it Saudi Arabia that they attacked? Mm-hmm. They attacked Saudi Arabia. Kuwait, that's where he was, Kuwait. They attacked Kuwait after about a year and a half of being in jail, right? And when they attacked Kuwait, all of the workers in the jail ran and just left the people locked up in jail. And at that point, they were trying to open the door, but they couldn't do it. Some other guy was able to kick over his cell and came over and kicked open the door for the rest of the inmates and let everybody out. And so he was able to get out of jail in a year and a half where he thought he had to do 5 years. But the important point was he was able to calm down and experience salvation. And once he did that, God made the way for him out of no way. And that's what's going to happen in your life when you let the ego go. You'll just calm down and you'll be surprised at what you can handle in life. Because salvation saves you from the world, and it gives you a confidence and a hope and a love that is beyond the imagination. And that's what you want. That's why you got to take the pain of your ego so that experience can happen for you. That's the only thing that's stopping it from happening, is that you refuse to let your ego die. You refuse to calm down and know that you're wrong. The pain of the ego is only letting you know that you're wrong. And if you stop escaping that pain, then you can go free. And all kinds of things bring on the pain. Someone says something bad about you, untrue about you, you can't get your cigarettes or whatever. It brings on that ego pain. But if you can take it, then you can enter into the kingdom of heaven. That makes sense?
Yes.
And it is something else once you enter in. Did that help, John?
Yes.
Isn't that a nice story?
Yes.
He just calmed down and realized that he had nothing else to hold on to because his woman was gone. He had let go of everything else but his woman. And you got to let everything go. Yes.
Fortunate thing for him, too, there was no psychiatrist around to coddle
Yes.
him,
That's
coddle
very-
him and give him drugs and,
Yep.
help him.
Excellent point. Excellent point. You shouldn't let anything save you, but you're right, they're saving you from salvation. Everybody and their mama on drugs today. Yes, sir.
It occurred to me when you're talking about sin that sin is actually a noun. It's not a verb. It's actually a thing.
Yeah.
And it's taught as being an action. You go do this. It's your sin. It's that.
Yeah.
But the sin is like it's a thing. It's even talked about in the Bible as being a thing that's inside.
It's the spirit that made a home inside of you.
Yeah, it is totally different. So
Yeah, it's an
whatever you
identity.
go to is kind of irrelevant. It's
Yeah.
because it's the thing here that it's like you got a beast and it needs to be fed by something.
It's amazing how the world is deceiving the Christians. It has deceived and it is deceiving the Christian. And we're losing as a result of that. It's so unfortunate, but it is happening every day and all the time. And I'm going to give you some examples of that. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, more like a comment. I've noticed that, in the scriptures, especially the Old Testament, there's this thing about don't forget God. You'll fall into sin when you forget God, right? So when I hear a great principle like don't be angry at anything that's happening to you,
Right.
I'll try to hold on to that principle in the sense not forgetting God. Keep that in my mind so when I run across these situations, I'll remember that and it will work. But it doesn't.
It doesn't work.
It just makes you even more frustrated that you know a principle,
Yeah.
but you're not able to apply it.
Of yourself, you could do nothing.
Right.
Don't hold on to it. You can't hold on to it. That's still playing God.
Right.
That's still ego at work. And someone to come and just blow you off the mountaintop. And then you're mad at yourself because you heard this principle and you were not able to do it.
The ease with which I get blown off the mountaintop is is breathtaking.
The Holy Spirit will bring all things to your remembrance. It's so nice. Isn't that something that you can live a life without having to do anything? You have to struggle, worry. You have to do nothing. How many people live in that kind of life where you have to, do anything? Only 2 people? So you're not doing anything. You're just working out for you.
My goal is not to get in the way.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Sometimes my nature is I try to get in the mix, but then I think I've gotten better at saying, whoa, stop.
Well, the more you calm down, it's going to become natural for you. You won't even have to think about it. Yes. Did you have a question? I did. Okay. Go to him, John.
My question is, have you noticed how it seems like evil has gotten more powerful today, not independent of political and world things?
Yeah.
It seems like more evil things are happening, more people are...
What's wrong with that?
Can't hear me.
Oh. Let's get your mic adjusted.
Have you noticed how things have gotten more evil?
Yeah.
And people are doing things that people would have never have done years ago. Just things are going off more
It's
than
bad.
ever.
And I want to get into that. There's a segue into what I want to talk about today. Let me ask, you guys know about the Colorado situation, right? Yes. Where, for those who don't know, a gunman went into a movie theater. last Tuesday, I guess. Last Thursday? Okay, and they were showing this new movie. What's the name of the movie? Rise of the Dark Knight. Yeah. Rise of the Dark Knight, whatever. It was a midnight showing, so this guy went in there and just started shooting up people. He broke into, according to the story, he broke into the emergency door. He was all geared up, dressed in black, and just really, he killed, I think, about 12 people were killed and 50 to 60 wounded. 70 people wounded? Yeah, they keep going up. And it was very, very, it's an eye-opening situation for me. But I wanted to, before I give what I think about this situation, I wanted to get some feedback from you guys and ladies here, because I know you guys are Christians and you see what's going on. So I want to get some feedback from you. What did you think about that situation when you heard it? How about you, Armand? What did you think? Hold on for the mic.
I just thought somebody disturbed, somebody's disturbed caused this. It's unfortunate that innocent people had to pay for it. But other than that, I can't think of anything. Just somebody disturbed, committed an act which was harmful to others.
Oh, okay, good. How about you, Richard? What did you think of it?
The first thing I thought about was where does this guy come from?
Let's do this. Robert, you hold the mic so you can hold it closer to. Hold on for a minute, Richard. Hold the mic, Robert, so you can hold it close enough. Because when people are speaking, they forget to hold it. Take the mic. He gave me the thumbs up, and he's not taking the mic. Okay.
Yeah, the first thing I thought about, after I heard everything about him, about what family did he come from? What was going on in that home? Why was he a loner? All those kind of things. That's the first thing I looked at. And if he worked alone and doing such a heinous crime, and what was he thinking? What was he trying to do? What was he accomplishing?
Yeah.
And I just left it right there because it speaks for itself.
And you wonder, why was he a loner?
Yes.
A person who spent a lot of time by himself?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I looked at his family. First thing I want to know is if he was a loner, what happened in his home?
Yeah. Okay.
That's the first thing. And then what group did he get with, or did he think on these things by himself? He went to school to be a doctor or whatever the case may be. He couldn't make it.
Yeah, he was working on his PhD.
Yeah, but evidently he flunked out of that. He dropped from that. So that tells me he had another problem going on.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, sir.
I heard a lot of commentary on this, and the one that I most agree with is the simplest one regarding, an inanimate object, being the gun, cannot fire and kill someone by itself. And so why does everybody want to, automatically? Well, Barack Obama and the other Democrats are not jumping to policy and regulation because they're going to lose the election. That's why they're not, as far as I understand. And I'm only reiterating all the commentary I heard. And so the major point, the major point of that is, why don't they talking about values, re-embracing values that would change behavior rather than trying to regulate guns would just make society more dangerous, to have more evil people with guns rather than good people. And that's basically my synopsis of all the commentary I've heard.
All right. Let's go to the young lady over in the corner. What was your first impression when you heard about it?
I didn't hear. When I first heard about it, I didn't know much about it. I just heard that he shot up a lot. Somebody shot up a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
That's all I knew about it. And it's just like it's happening a lot now.
Right. Okay. Let's go here. Did you hear about it? Okay. Did you hear about it the morning that it happened?
I don't recall.
Well, it happened at midnight, so I heard it the following morning.
I heard it in the
What was your
morning.
first impression when you heard it?
My first impression was that, wow, the devil is really busy.
Oh, okay.
Just infecting more people.
Right on. And last question, what was your impression when you heard it?
When I heard it, I thought to myself, why am I not surprised about this? There's no question that this guy was the this murder was a mental case. But I don't think we even got this guy even this far. If he didn't have the victims to do it, and these victims were willing to go sit to a midnight to a very midnight to a show, to a movie they thought that was more important than probably their lives. I may be wrong about this.
So you thought it was the people's fault who went to the movie?
Of course not. It was the people's lack of awareness that got them that got them in this trap. They didn't realize that they didn't even.
But when you go to a movie, you're not sitting there thinking, "Oh, some nutcase is gonna break in here and shoot me up."
Yes, any time I wouldn't think about it, except at midnight. This is something.
Oh.
Yes. Especially when I heard that one of the victims was a 6-year-old girl. What was they doing taking her out on a midnight showing of a movie?
Yeah, that's a good question. I thought about that too. Is there a problem with the mic there?
He just needs to hold it close to the person.
Oh, okay. Directly to them. Okay. You made a point that I wanted to touch on, and I forgot what it was because I asked about the mic.
Gun control?
Oh yeah, gun control. I was at the gym the day after that, and I'm listening to this guy. We were all like together working out there. And some guy was like blaming it on the gun. He was like, "Oh, we need gun control. If we had gun control, this would not happen." I'm like, the gun. He wasn't even really talking to me. He was talking to other guys, but I could hear. I said, "Man, you sound so silly. The gun didn't do it." "Yes, it did. It was the gun's fault." I said, "But if a gun is laying on the table and you never touch the gun is not going to move." I said, "This is crazy, man. It's not the gun's fault." He's like, "Yes, it is. The same way if you poison yourself, it's the poison's fault." I'm like, "So if you don't take the poison, will the poison kill you?" He's like, "No, but it's still the poison's fault." But he was like convinced that it's the gun's fault. And that's so dumb to me. I don't know how people can believe that kind of way. If you don't touch the gun, if you're shot by a gun, you're going to say, "John Doe shot me with a gun," right? The gun is not going to do it. But they really think it's the gun's fault. And if you take away all the guns, then somehow or another, I'm like, if they take the guns away, they're going to beat you with a stick. Are you going to blame the stick? But he was like really, really serious about it. I mean, literally serious about it. I said, "Man, you're just as dumb as they come." And he was a big guy, too. I was a little scared. Let me take another comment. Then I want to lay out something that I see about this thing. Yes?
To me, when I see this, that is gun control. That's what they want from gun control. They want this type of thing to happen. It doesn't make any sense. They're never going to take away all the guns. The wrong people are always going to have the guns. So.
I can't believe you have to be a sinful person to think that it's the gun. The gun is not, you got to load the gun. You got to pick the gun up. You got to put your hand on that little trigger thing and move it. The gun's not going to do anything. Can you be that dumb? Yes, sir.
One thing I notice is not those kind of things, but the people have a more fervent belief in it. They really think that if they take the guns away, they really think that the other people in the party are the enemies, and they really have a strong belief. It's almost like they believe in it 100%. In the old days, they allowed you to have an opinion, but nowadays you can't have an opinion. If it's different than what they believe, then you're the enemy. And to me, that's another part. Like there's more evil in the world because your fellow Americans, they really believe what they believe in more than ever.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
What I thought was interesting is that he was a PhD student, so even if you had gun control, he would have been eligible to go and get a gun at the local store. You know, even with gun control, they just do a background check and they issue you a gun. But then the second point, I thought it was really interesting that immediately, maybe by Friday afternoon, his parents made a statement. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
And I'm paraphrasing, but they were not surprised.
Oh, yeah, I did hear the mother say, yeah,
And
you got the right one. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and again, just values, because what parent, you as a parent, I think you want to give your kids a benefit of the doubt, at least until you see some type of evidence or get a chance to talk to them. But the other thing I noticed too is that in terms of values is that, I think that nowadays we hear more people are depressed, people have issues, and it just seems like in the old days they would just kill themselves, and now it's like they have to go and kill 20 other people.
I know, huh? My very first thought when I heard it, I wonder what Wayne think about this. No, I'm kidding. What do you think about it, Wayne? Your very first thought.
My very first thought was with the families of the people that were injured, people who were hurt, and how that just really destroyed a lot of lives for nothing,
Amazing. When I realized from this whole deal that this is definitely a battle between good and evil, and I wasn't really surprised to hear about this. You want to comment on it? Okay, real fast.
Yeah, you said that the gun doesn't commit the crime.
Right.
Would you...
If the gun commit the crime, then put the gun in jail and let the person go. Isn't that a good idea? I didn't do it, the gun did it.
Would you...
That makes sense. I'm going to fight for a law, arrest the gun.
Let me ask you something then. Would you give a bunch of guns to kindergarten kids?
No.
Okay, well, that's how the government sees us.
Oh, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
I say one thing though, Jesse. I think that the types of weapons that people are able to buy, they shouldn't be able to buy. I mean, who needs an AK-47 that shoots 100 times? That's somebody that wants to kill a lot of people. You can't go out and hunt pigs with an AK-47. So I mean, I think that everybody should have weapons, but I mean, some of the stuff, man, is just a little much.
Oh, okay. One last comment from Patrick. I just saw his hand.
Just to reply to that, ask the Koreans in the LA riots if a AK-47 was useful, and you find that it was true. It saved their lives to have those kind of weapons.
Now, what you got to say now?
I didn't hear anything about any Koreans using AK-47s on anybody.
Yeah, they did. Go do a rewind. They would stand on top of their buildings, businesses, and everything.
Well, I mean, they could have had shotguns and done the same thing.
No, but you see a bunch of black folk coming. You want to be able to fire more than one time.
You can justify anything you want to, but I know if you got guns and if they had 9 millimeters,
you see a whole bunch of black people coming, you want to be able to fire one time.
Oh, come on, man.
I know. Let me do this because of time. When I heard it, I was surprised by that incident. And, it is pretty sad to be in a movie theater and someone just comes in and, wipe you out like that. But I wasn't surprised because I look at how weak spiritually this country has become and how evil is more promoted now than good. And we've been talking about this for years. And that the women's movement, the nationalization of women, all the people who are fighting for women's lib, they have taken the joke too far. And because of it, we now have, and I wrote out some things here, we now have out-of-wedlock birth. And out-of-wedlock birth, you're like lifted up as good if you have a baby out of wedlock today because of the women's movement. And we, as men and everybody allowing that to happen, it's an honor now to have a baby out of wedlock. In the movie industry and everybody and their mama having children out of wedlock. There's no shame in that anymore. That's another example of the moral values that are gone. Abortion out of control. Everybody and their mama have an abortion. No shame. Where'd you go yesterday? Where's that baby that was in your belly? Child, I went and had an abortion yesterday. Oh, good for you. I don't blame you. You got to go to work. You can't afford to have babies. Liberalism, which is evil, is now controlling the churches. The preachers and the Christians sound just like the non-Christians and the non-preachers. The talk is the same. The action is the same. In the good old days when boys were boys and men were men, if you had a church for the homosexual, it was rebuked. You didn't put them in a choir and say, go sing and act like it's normal. If women were having babies out of wedlock, the man and the woman would be dealt with. They would be encouraged to get married. They would talk about the shame in it, to a point that the people would feel ashamed if they got pregnant. They wouldn't want you to know until you had to know. But now the churches are sounding just like that. I've been invited to speak at 2 events coming up soon. And in both events, they gave me something not to say. One said, we would like for you to come and speak, but don't use the word nigger. You know how, all the way I use that word is when I say, I've been called a nigger. I don't call the people in the audience a nigger. I'm encouraging them to be of courage, let them call you names, and don't be afraid, right? But they say, well, we'd really like you to come, but don't say nigger. And then I've been invited to another event where I'm speaking at a church. It happened to be a white church, and the preacher said, well, we really want you to come, but we don't want to make the blacks upset. Make sure you don't say things that will make the blacks upset. I'm like, what are you talking about? He told me, I just want you to talk about bond and what you're doing, because we're really trying to get with the blacks and the black churches, and we are making an inroad right now. And just make sure you don't say nothing to offend them. This is a preacher telling me what not to say in a church. No wonder we're having this kind of thing happen in Colorado. Because evil, people who are supposed to represent truth are afraid now. Are afraid. Every man on earth is considered to be an abuser and a child molester. Every man on earth is already guilty of that in their Christian homes and outside of their Christian homes. I have literally counseled with folks who have sent, and I'm writing this down because I can't remember all this stuff, there's so much, who have sent their kids to visit grandmama. You know what grandmama does? Instead of baking an apple pie or giving them some cookie, she's questioning kids about the father. Little kids. And the parents don't even know that this is going on. And so that's destroying the kids, because little kids don't need to be hearing that kind of stuff. But the Christian grandmamas are doing that. Is it like are you shocked to hear that? Yes. And they are absolutely, in their mind, convinced that every man is guilty, because they're listening to the children of Satan. The churches are supposed to set another example, and Satan's supposed to set another example. And our light's supposed to shine. Every man and woman is not guilty until something happens and you see that they're guilty. You don't assume that everybody's guilty, but every man is guilty in the eyes of almost every woman. That's true, huh? Every man is guilty. How did we allow that to happen as children of God? Let me have, Wayne, you said that's true?
Yeah, I mean, I like to kid around with kids. I like kids, but, when you see strangers come up and they're kids, you're a little reluctant to say something.
That's right.
Nowadays, because the way people look at you,
Every man is guilty. Even with your own children, you are considered a rapist, a molester, an abuser. So now you can't even have a family, because the children of God are now listening to the children of Satan. I can tell you so many stories about innocent men. I just heard a story recently. A guy, nice guy, working hard. A woman got mad at him on the job and accused him of making sexual remarks to her. And because she said it, he lost his job, lost his everything, just gone. And he got to try to prove himself innocent, and he can't afford to do it. Evil is working in our country in ways that I don't think people understand the depth. And that shooting, it was a bad thing, but that's nothing compared to things to come. Because just think about it in your own private and personal life. You notice when you turn away from what is right, when you make bad decisions, your life starts to get bad. Things start to not to work out for you. And the more you pull away from what is right, the worse things get. Well, it's in a bigger way like that too in the world. When we pull away from truth and from what is right, because you can't help but have evil become stronger and take over. The truth is hated. You tell the truth, you create enemies. You do not create friends. But the okay with that thing, though, if you love what's right, you don't care about losing people who don't love. I don't care if it's family members or friends, your children. You'll let them go because your confidence is in God. You have all that you need, so you don't mind losing that. Judges. We used to have judges in the court that would make right decisions based on the law and morality. No more do we have that. No more. I can't tell you, we've fought against same-sex marriages and all kind of stuff just in this state alone. We go out and vote. We get the voters. We go out and vote. We vote for it, and they overturn it. And we just say, okay, let it be. We put up a fight for a little while, but soon we have some difficult days ahead of us. And then someone mentioned a 6-year-old child at a movie. Why would anybody take a 6-year-old child to that's even worse. Why would any parent take a child to a midnight movie at that age to see that type of movie anyway? Yeah, but we're losing it. We don't have that solid ground that guides us, the light unto our feet anymore. We're literally going with the world right now. We really are. And if one person stand up and say, no, I'm not going that way with you, he or she become the enemy. And even the Christians will jump on that person that's telling the truth. Have you noticed that? The Christians don't say, well, you know what, at least you may not agree with it, but at least this person is right. Daycare center. There's no way I would allow my child to go to a midnight movie. The movie is not that important. It's going to be there. But the father and the mother, I don't know if they were married, what the situation, but they allowed that to happen. Everybody and their mama send their kids to daycare centers today. No more the mother staying at home, the father's out working, so you can raise your kids with your values and the right way to go. It's okay, it's sophisticated, it's the right thing to do to send your child to a daycare center. Have a baby, out of wedlock, don't worry about it, we have daycare centers. And if you can't afford it, the taxpayers will pay for it. And we, the taxpayers, we pay for it. We don't revolt, we don't do anything but pay for it. Have you noticed that? Complain about our taxes, but we do nothing about it. For the blacks, the basketball courts at night are the parents for the kids. You know, after school, they go play basketball. Have you noticed that? They'll fight for that rather than fighting to bring the family back together. They want midnight basketball courts. I can go on, but I just have a few. There is no fight to put the two parents back together. Boy Scout, I have to give honor to the Boy Scout. They are fighting to keep it as is. And right on to them, they've lost a lot. They've been condemned and name-called and all kind of stuff, but they will not, so far, they have not caved in. And that's the right thing to do. But the Girl Scout, they caved in. Now you could be a transgender, bisexual, prosexual, ain't sexual, whatever sexual, and become a Girl Scout. Ain't that something? This is why these things are happening in our country, because as you mentioned, somebody else mentioned, the values are gone. When you get God out of your life, when you take him out of the public square, they would rather hear about same-sex marriage than to hear about Christ on the cross. You mention Christ, all hell breaks loose. You mention same-sex marriage, a smile comes on their face. And the Christians just go along with it. I would urge you to get ready because it's going to get worse. This spirit, evil is not a joke. It is destroying everything, the family unit, everything. And the Christians are right on board with it. It's unfortunate, but it is. And that's why evil is so powerful today. Because in reality, evil has no power at all. It deceives you and you act out yourself. It makes you believe a lie. But that's why these things are happening at the theater. There's no other reason for it. This man had more issues. Whatever his parents done to him as a kid need to be dealt with, of course. But it's about values. This guy, if he'd been a moral man, there's no way he would have done this. It would not have happened. Yes, ma'am.
You know what I thought was interesting? If you go back and look at the interviews, the same woman who took the 6-year-old and the 3-month-old, when they asked her what was running through your mind, she said, well, I was just praying to God that my children wouldn't die here today in the movie theater. And a lot of the interviews, when they asked them what was running through your mind, they were saying, oh God, I hope that this is not my time to go. So it just shows the confusion of values and the
yes, ma'am.
The very not strong foundation in our values.
Yes, ma'am. I see it so clearly, folks. And it's weird that I'm not the brightest guy on the street corner, but I can see this, and because I can see it in my own life. I see what my life is now prior to when it changed. You gotta love good or love evil. There is no you driving this boat. If you have no value, look at the families now with children who are adults. They don't get along well. The kids are trifling. The parents are still taking care of the kids. They're having babies out of wedlock. I mean, you gotta have those family values. You gotta put the family back together and then take them away from the world. That's what, it's a spiritual thing. Do you guys see this? Yes. But I want you to be aware of it, because when it happens, I don't want your first thought to be, oh, gun laws, we need this, we need that. You got to see the deeper aspect of what's going on so that you can see you got to protect yourself and your family. Because that's why Satan break up the family first. Get rid of that idea, that image of God, you could do the rest. And it's just awful. In Chicago, the south side I heard the president do a little thing about what's happening in Arizona, Colorado, how sorry he is about it. I've not heard him do a press conference on what's happening on the south side of Chicago. Something like 800-some people already dead there, and I believe it's just from this year. In July alone, I think, I may be wrong in the numbers, but pretty close, because I talked about it on my radio show this week. 87 people have been murdered on the south side of Chicago in 1 month. 18 in 1 month. And July's not over yet. I ever heard him say, you know what, my heart goes out to the people and to the families. I guess black people don't value it. They ain't got nothing. They're on welfare. Maybe they don't value as much or something. But it's a spiritual thing, folks. You got to see this. And God, I hear that God's supposed to be sending Jesus at some point, right? Isn't Jesus coming back right at the very last minute? But we don't need to wait until the last minute. He's in us. He's working through us. Have some courage. Tell the truth and let them be mad so we can destroy the enemy, the lie. I saw so many hands. Let me tell you, Patrick first, I saw him, and then I come around him. Well, am I going wrong with this? Anybody, men or women? We allowed this stuff to start 50 to 60. Well, it's been going on. Evil always been working. But it has, I don't know if it's ever had the influence that it has today. And it's because men, the primary reason is that men are just weak and pathetic. They'll sell your soul down the drain for $1. They are afraid to correct their women. I was talking to a doctor yesterday. I was telling him about some stuff that was happening in this world. He was like, I had to let my mama go. He's like, I'm done with my mama. I tried, I can't do it. But you can. You have the power to do it, man. If you love God with all your heart, soul, and might, more than you love anything else, you have the power to guide your the women in the right way to go. And they need that. That's what love is. It's not a macho thing. So, but if you continue to be weak, it's over. Absolutely over. And for the ladies who don't have men, God will answer your prayers too and take away your anger, and you can have the same power. Anyway, go ahead, Patrick.
There is a major generational difference in how men handled situations in the past versus now. I'm not blaming particular people who were in the audience there, but just in general, people today are much more likely to grab their cell phone and try to take pictures of things when things are going on.
That's a good point.
Instead of, in the old days, as an example of a difference, a man, a week ago or something, there was two guys came in to hold up a place.
A coffee shop down in Florida.
Yeah, they had their bandanas on. A 71-year-old man came out, saw what was going on, and shot both of them, chased them out the door. That's a different kind of generation, a different kind of mindset. People today are much more likely to just panic under pressure.
And take a picture of it. You're right, had those guys in that audience the other night, Colorado, even if you're into the movie and you're not thinking about someone breaking in, once that started, if they had been real men and stayed calm, that would have been a moment where they could have taken that guy down. They could have taken, but from what I've heard, nobody tried to take him down. They took pictures, they ran, they hooped, they hollered, they hid, because the guy at some point had to reload. You know, he had to reload, and that's your moment to get him. But nobody tried that because men are no good. Not all, but most. Well, I can say all men, and I won't get any slack from it. Nobody was there was like, yeah, that's right, all men are like that. But don't let me say all women. But not one man, as far as we know, I haven't heard one report yet, tried to take the guy. And I heard them say, oh, he stopped and reloaded. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir.
Second thing, you didn't see these kind of things happening way back when. Unless there were a few mobsters, wasting some of the other mobsters, like the Valentine's Day Massacre or something. This kind of stuff didn't happen.
No.
And one of the reasons I think it's happening is because you have people on drugs. You have prescription medication.
Yeah.
Same thing happened, I believe, with the Gabby Giffords, the congresswoman that was shot.
Yeah.
This goon that you saw that did it, if you saw him on the internet, you see a picture of him, he's got a really weird smile on his face. The guy in Arizona.
Yeah.
Same thing with this guy. And I think what's happening is that they're putting these people on drugs and they have some kind of a loss of reality.
Yeah.
And they're into this weird state of mind where everything's goofy while they're actually killing people.
And that's another thing, they're doing it because the family is broken. Because when you step your foot into a schoolhouse now, the first thing you do is snap a pill down your throat. Yeah, and especially if you act like you have some energy, they pop a pill down your throat the first day of school. Yeah. But if they had fathers and mothers together, this would not be happening. And so if you were growing up your whole life on pills, by the time you're 30, what do you think going to happen? It's out of control, folks. It's a spiritual battle. And I have to just warn you, it's going to get worse. It really is. You're going to be in airports and hotels and restaurants. These things are going to happen. I'm concerned now, when I go to the supermarket, I'm looking around. Because you don't know when these people go nuts on you. Because the values are gone. That's why it's that way. You let God go. They took God out of the schools. They took him out of the government. You can barely mention him in your home. If you want hell from the children of Satan, mention God. Just mention him. And the sad thing about it, Christians are cowering down. They won't mention God. I have interviewed Christians on my radio show, and I say, are you a Christian? That's personal. But if I ask the gay, are you gay? Yes, and proud of it. Do you support same-sex marriage? Yes, what's wrong with that?
Now Christians are going in the closet.
Yes, absolutely. Isn't that something? Evil is putting good in the closet. I'm telling you, look, you better wake up. You really, really, evil is not a joke. You gotta deal with evil with good, all right? So check yourself, folks, and wake up. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm done? Whatever. Thank you, folks.
For more information, to purchase a copy of this program, or to make a donation, visit us on the web at bondinfo.org or call 1-800-411-2663. That's 1-800-411-BOND.
You're already home.